Then, to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. Now, when he opened the door and said surrender, he thought that he had caught the thief. But to his surprise, he saw that there was no one in the room. The room appeared to be empty. He and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. They both looked everywhere, under the desk, behind the curtains, and even up the chimney, but they found no one. There wasn't a sign of anybody. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. They found everywhere, but they found no one to be in the room. So they were surprised also. And when they looked at the desk, it was also open and the housekeeping money was also missing. The money was also not there. Extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. Now, children, here extraordinary affair means that unexpected event, and the clergyman this kept on saying for the rest of the day. But it was not as extraordinary as behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Means that the things that happened with Mrs. Hall's furniture were not that much extraordinary. Means that they were more fascinating. The landlord and his wife woke up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Now, children, the next morning when they both woke up early, they were surprised to see Griffin's door open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. Now, normally his door remained closed and locked only. Also, he used to get angry when someone even tried to enter his room. So, the couple took it as an opportunity and did not want to miss it. They peeped around the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. Now, peeped here means if we say jhankna. So, they peeped inside the door, saw nobody, and then they both decided to investigate the room. As they took it as an opportunity, they looked around, but nobody was there. Therefore, they decided to go inside the room and to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. The bedclothes were cold, showing. Now the bedclothes were cold, it means that he must have woken up for a while before only. Means कुछ देर पहले ही उठ चुका था. And stranger still, the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. And the bandages which he used to tie around his face were lying round the room. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. Now, sniff means to inhale through the nose. Means Mrs. Hall ने सांस लेने की आवाज़ सुनी. Mrs. Hall heard someone inhaling close to her ear. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Now, bedpost means one of the four corner poles that support a bed. हिंदी में जिसको हम पाया कहते हैं. Now, that bedpost jumped and dashed itself means hit on the face of Mrs. Hall. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her, legs foremost. Now then she was hit by a chair straight to her legs. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Now, children, when the furniture started hitting Mrs. Hall, then they both got afraid and turned to go back. Then what happened that chair pushed them both out of the room and appeared like that it closed the door and locked it. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. Now, children, hysterics means a wildly emotional and exaggerated reaction. Means her reaction was very large. She was nearly about to faint and was almost to fall from the stairs. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. Now, she believed that the room was haunted by spirits and it was the stranger who was responsible for all this. He had caused all this to happen. Means the spirits had entered into the furniture just because of him only. He was responsible to do all these things. My mother, my poor mother used to sit in that chair. She moaned. Moan means complained with pain. To think it should rise up against me now. Now, Mrs. Hall complained that her mother used to sit in that chair, and how could the chair hit her and go against her? The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. See, witchcraft in simple language in Hindi, if I will say, Jadu Tona. But witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now, children, here, whether it was because of witchcraft or maybe any other reason, the news of the robbery at the clergyman's house came to know to all. The news spread everywhere. And in that, the scientist was the one at whom everyone's eyes were at. He was strongly suspected of having a hand in that robbery. All were suspecting his hand, and their suspicion grew when he produced some cash, and little time earlier only he said that he had no money. Now let's read first. Suspicion grew even stronger. Suspicion means shak. Grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. The village constable was secretly sent for. Now, the village constable was called to look into the matter. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. Mrs. Hall went into scientist's room to call him before the constable had come. She did not wait for him. The room was empty, but the scientist mysteriously appeared there. Means that when she went inside, there was no one, but the scientist, he appeared suddenly there. I want to know that you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. Now Mrs. Hall asked in a demanding tone that what he had been doing with her chair upstairs and how he came out of the empty room. The room was empty, then how he had appeared there. And the room was locked also, how he had entered in. She demanded him to answer all her questions. The scientist was always quick tempered. Now he became furious. Now, see, the scientist was of short tempered, but now he got extremely angry. When Mrs. Hall asked him the questions, he got extremely angry. You don't understand who or what I am, he shouted. Very well, I will show you. Means he was saying that after happening all these things, even then you all did not come to know that who I am. Then very well, I am going to show you that who I am. Suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. Now the scientist threw off all the things which he got from the theatre shop and to cover his face. So he threw all these things. Only a minute he took to do all these things. And all the people who were gathered in the bar, they got frightened when they found themselves that they were with the headless man. They kept on staring them. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. Now he was very much surprised to know that how he could arrest a man who is not having head. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. Means that he was a dutiful person, he could not avoid his duty. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person had to be arrested. Now children, if the magistrate's warrant order had been issued, then it means that that person had to be arrested, whether with head or without his head. Means he had to arrest that person at any cost. There followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. Now, the policeman means the constable, Mr. Jaffers, he tried to catch him. But what he did, he threw off his garment, means the clothes that he was wearing, one by one he put off. He removed because he would become invisible because of that, and he also wanted to save himself. Finally, a shirt flew into the air. Means this was the last cloth he was wearing. The shirt that also he flew into the air. And the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. The last thing which he threw was his shirt. And now the constable was finding himself impossible that how he could find him, how he could see him, as he could not see anyone. So he was only struggling. Some people tried to help him, but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. Now blows means घूसे जैसे मान रहे hit by the blows. So the people who were there, they tried to help him, but they were also helpless, as if when they tried, then they were hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere, as nobody could see him. Therefore they could not even find that from where the blows were hitting them. In the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious. Now, knocked unconscious means given hard blows. Means he was continuously giving him hard blows and Jaffers became unconscious. मतलब बिल्कुल बेहोश होने वाली स्थिति उसकी आ गई थी, इतने उसने उसको blows दिए, मारा. As he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. Now he was also fed up. He was also tired of searching him where he could find him. There were nervous, excited cries of hold him. They all were shouting with having a very excited and nervous cries. But this was easier said than done. Means it was easier to say but difficult to do. Griffin had shaken himself free and no one knew where to lay hands on him. Means that no one knew there that how to catch him. He had made himself free. He had removed everything. He was invisible, and no one knew there that how they would catch him. Now children, we have come to the end of the chapter. Hoping that you all have understood it. Go through it once again and clear the chapter. Thank you.